how do I increase my students' curiosity? How do I start that spark of learning? Well, I look back to my own experiences. In my grade sixes, we're given a project by the teacher to look up Japanese internment camps in line with language and social studies. And up until that point, I'd say about 10 lessons, but each of them was an hour and a half, so it's probably like 20 lessons on social studies. And up until that point, every question they had, I usually had an answer, and I talked about it. And I even had one of my students come up to me and say, Mr. Ellick, how do I become a nerd like you? And I said, you just become interested in something, you find something you enjoy, and you go after it. And for me, it's always been knowledge and understanding because each piece of understanding I get can always lead into more knowledge and more perspective and a deeper perspective if I have it, even if I don't have it immediately, even if I don't use that information immediately. I do the same thing with people. Every mannerism I take in when I watch somebody talk or listen, although innocuous at the moment, could later on tell me a different part of their story. So in this Japanese internment camp assignment, all of them were so keen on finding information. Each of them asking me questions about what that meant and what it meant historically and the significance. But more so, a lot of them asking me and saying, Mr. Ellick, did you know this? Did you know this? Did you know this? And each of them was trying to find information that I didn't know because I had spurred in them the idea that I was truly passionate about what I was teaching, and they wanted to be as equally passionate, equally as knowledgeable. They revered the knowledge that I carried, and I told them, I said afterwards that one of the students said, Mr. Ellick seems so smart, and he seems to know everything about history that he's teaching us. And I said, yeah, you could say that, but I also want you to know that before every class, after I've written the lesson, I spend 2 to 3 hours on the internet looking up knowledge, reading about the history, making sure that I'm um, as knowledgeable as I can be because I don't want to be talking based on nothing. And they went, oh, and I think that's what it is. You want kids to be as passionate about you. If I'm going to be teaching, I want to be teaching because I want them to know the power and understanding. So when I'm thinking about that kind of stuff and the knowledge I want to bring, there are different ways that I want to become more knowledgeable in the knowledge I want to express to my students. So in Teach, Reflect, Learn, there was a talk about how you want to progress through the stages. And for me, I'm in the action stage right now, and that's what I got on the score. And it seemed like step, 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 conscious stage, refinement stage, and it seemed like you move through the steps. But for me, I've always understood things to be more amoebic in the sense that when Trisha, my foundations teacher, was talking about Bloom's taxonomy to our small foundation group, she said it's built like a pyramid, but really you don't have to go through it step by step. You can hit different areas of the pyramid at any time. It's actually uh, more cyclical than that. And that's what I like. I like the idea that at any time, at different stages, when I'm reflecting in action, that I'm at different stages. And I do that specifically with students. I'm currently at this stage. I'm at the action stage with this student because they're in math, because they're currently acting out and they're refined, they're getting to that refinement of their understanding, or I'm at this stage with this student and so on and so forth, or at this lesson or at this unit. I'm always at different stages at different places, and this like overall mark of how good I am, although useful, I typically like to subcategorize. I think that's more important because I like to reflect on each little moment and each area that I want to increase my knowledge so that I can increase the knowledge of my students. And when reading Watson and Wilcox, I really enjoyed the idea of writing a narrative. That seemed really useful to me because I'm really big on the words that we use. I kind of have to stop nowadays when I'm arguing to be so picky on semantics because people get mad about that. But the words we choose when we talk are very important. I take a lot of time to think about the words that I want to use because it's very specific. I always want to know the exact meaning to words, and the words that we use, and the not realizing what we're saying by actually saying it, because we actually understand more about words than we realize. Um, and I want to write these narratives because in the moment, that's when you're most emotional, most passionate. And if I write down back to a story and I look at my own writing, I can easily pick out, hey, I'm using this word because I'm feeling this, or this happened, or I'm painting the picture this way. And I like to know that because sometimes you forget the emotional nature of reflecting and teaching, that you need to be reminded of that stuff. And I was also thinking about unknown unknowns. I always want to find that like little piece that I don't know truly, like that opens up a new perspective, that like next layer. Um, and I want to do that by gaining as much knowledge as possible, but not not all knowledge can lead me somewhere. At some point it might, but I can be efficient with that because in my equity class we were reading about Kimishiro, and he had a line about, it's not about as much knowledge as you can find. It's about disruptive knowledge. And he was speaking mostly about multiculturalism and teaching students about diversity and inclusion through disruptive knowledge. And it really struck a chord to me. I have to find the information that really connects things with the students. I remember teaching POV for the first time, and I made them watch a first-person view of Leviathan at Wonderland, and they loved it. They were so into it. And when I asked them, "How'd you guys?" and I stopped the video at certain points. I said, "How are you feeling right now?" And they're shaking. They're like, "Oh, we're so anxious, or we're so excited." And then after we had done the entire video, they were so excited, like, "Let's do it again!" Like and I think finding that knowledge that like at each stage, combining it with like understanding of child psychology, like how they are as children and what they would like to do, where they are with their ego and how they want to in the community, combining that knowledge so that you can find the right bits and pieces that spark a kind of desire for learning. And that's what I've been thinking about, like what kind of knowledge can I truly bring to them that would spark that knowledge. And I think it's doing like that narrative that Watson Wilcox were talking about can really help to achieve that.